We're gonna restart the.
Are you stopping
Okay,
it? Start
go ahead.
the panic of the long file.
You got it.
Okay. um, we hear a lot about the low stress, the stress-free, the fear-free handling techniques from the very beginning, from the time people show up here with their animals all the way through the treatment area and back, and then all the way out again. But it doesn't sound like, and I see it here and I see it in a lot of other practices, I don't think anybody necessarily is outwardly marketing yet that we're low stress, we're no stress, we're fear-free. Right. Do you think that's something that's important to happen, or do you think that's not as important as doing it?
It's not as important as doing it. I think there is some value in labels and certifications. I think there's some value to us having the AHA logo on our website and on our marketing materials and on our door. I think there's value in that, but there's a lot more value in what it represents, which is actually visible to the client in terms of patient care. So I think there's value to it. We don't push it a lot. I mean, partially because there isn't a label for it yet. When there is, we want one, just because we're doing the right thing. So why not have it? But it's not nearly as important as what we're actually doing when they're in the exam room. I think it is attractive in terms of drawing new clients. For existing clients, I think it's all about what we're actually doing.
What did we miss, Portia?
So last night, Dr. Talmadge, right?
Yeah.
So does he do this often? He threw out an idea like, oh, we need toy boxes and we're going to change the toys. Tell me about the experience of like your bounce back and forth on products, and then I want to ask you specifically about the toy boxes.
Oh, okay. There is a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's not specifically for retail, but thinking about that in particular, a lot of it has come from the other staff because they have more of certain types of experience. They know what they're recommending to clients, they know what's working, and they know what's not working in a way that I probably don't. So a lot of that stuff has come out of conversations, and sometimes it is an offhand comment that somebody makes, and then 2 weeks later I'm thinking about it and I'm like, oh yeah, we should really do that. But it works the same with other things too. It's not just retail, and some of it goes in the other direction. They value having outside opinions, outside suggestions, and so even as somebody who's not really tenured in the veterinary industry, they're open to listening to ideas. If there's a reason that what I'm saying is ridiculous, they will explain why it's ridiculous, and then I know that. So my next suggestion will maybe be a little bit more ridiculous, or less ridiculous. But you need that exchange of ideas, and you need people that think differently than you, because if everybody thinks the same, you will never do anything different or interesting. You have to be open to ideas from everywhere.
So I think one of the things about fear-free is it's I'm going to say reasonably or marginally easy to pick up an idea that you read about in a magazine and try it. Yeah. But some of the stuff you guys are doing are not necessarily, maybe they are, but I'm thinking about the toy boxes specifically. That the idea of something like that might trip up somebody. Like, okay, I want to do this, but I don't know where to start. Tell me about this idea, what process you're going to go to figure out the right container, what is the process when you come up with an idea to make sure that it gets all the way to the end, and what advice would you have for somebody who's tackling that?
I think you have to involve the whole team, because there are going to be things that you don't know about, that you don't think about. So I don't know which toys and toy bins are going to be the easiest to sanitize. Who does know that is the veterinary assistants that are going to be doing it. So we need their help with that, and they may not know which toys the dogs really go crazy for in the exam rooms, but the doctors probably do, and the technicians probably do. So you have to involve the whole team. You have to throw it out there when it's a new idea and get suggestions on it, and that's if you talk it through, usually by the time you get to implementation, you have something that is pretty good. And you probably have to make changes because there are things that nobody thinks about and that nobody knows until you actually try it. But you're better off than you would be if you have an idea in your head and you don't tell anybody about it until you're ready to put it in place. There will be a million things wrong with it.
So 2 things. First, I want to know how you communicate. Like, is this like in the hall conversations, or is it like you have planned times where you sit down and brainstorm this type of idea?
So we have scheduled staff meetings. We have an all-staff meeting once a month.
Then you put
we
this
have
on the agenda.
department meetings once a month. The agendas are posted. Anybody can add anything to an agenda for any meeting that they want to talk about. And then when the meeting comes up, we go down the list, and whoever put that on the board, they throw it out for discussion, and we talk about it. But a lot of stuff happens just by people working in close proximity to each other and bouncing ideas off each other. A ton of stuff happens from conversations that I have with the doctors in the office, things that I overhear the doctors talking about, that then I ask them, hey, what about this? Or could you use this? Tons and tons of ideas that just come from having conversations on a daily basis, not even about any particular thing. So you can't just have a meeting once a month and expect that stuff to come out. It has to be organic, and it has to come out of real life and what you're actually doing on a day-to-day basis.
Well, the second part of that is the like when you're talking about the toy boxes, one of the things you're talking about is saying, oh, you know what, that didn't work. We're gonna I don't know that a lot of rejiggering often happens everywhere. I think there's a roadblock sometimes of, oh, that didn't work. Oh, I tried to use, the pretzel and the dog didn't like it. This cat didn't like squeezed cheese. We're never going to do that again. So what is the mentality, and how do you overcome that, especially if you have people on your team who say, oh, I tried that, it didn't work?
I have not heard, and I don't know that it hasn't happened, but I have not heard somebody say, I tried that, it didn't work, I'm not going to do it again. I have heard people say, I tried that, it didn't work, maybe I'm not going to do it with that pet again. But these people have been working around pets long enough to know that every patient is different, and we have pages and pages of notes and patient files about the ways that that individual patient is different and the things that you have to do to make that pet comfortable. So I think people are fairly conditioned to that. There is sort of a knee-jerk reaction anytime you ask somebody to change their routine. And I think the difference is if you are giving somebody a list of things that they have to do, you're giving them a recipe for a patient visit and telling them, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do it in this order. And that was my life for a long time. My work life was, this is a checklist of things, and if you don't do everything on this list, you have failed at customer service or whatever the case may be. So in that sense, it feels very oppressive, and it feels very disruptive to somebody to have this dictated to you, and then be expected to do it. Because every small failure feels like your life is just being trashed. But if you approach it from okay, this is a toolbox. These are things that you can try. This is what happened last week when I tried it with this dog, and it was awesome. And it didn't work so well for this other dog, but it seems to have a pretty good success rate. So here's one thing that you can do in addition to this toolbox of 10 other things that you can do, and just play, just try stuff. That didn't work, we'll try something else. So if it's options and not like a mandate, I think it goes over a lot differently, and people accept and move on from the failures a lot quicker because they're expected.
Now, it's interesting that we're developing a hospital design checklist along the lines of kind of so cat-friendly practice or AHA, those are checklists. Those organizations require you to do these long lists of things. Yeah. How do you, with fear-free, I see exactly what you're saying about how it's a whole toolbox of things you can try, but the normal certification process, I feel like, is usually you are either doing this or not doing it. Right. So I wonder how that will play out. Do you think some fear-free will become, this is absolute fear-free, every fear-free place to be certified must do this?
Are you talking about from the body that gives the accreditation, or from the clinics that are implementing it?
If there's eventually an accrediting body.
It will fail if they do that. It will fail if they try to tell people you have to do these 50 things with every patient. It will fail.
Well said.
Do you think that also goes, so some fear-free has with hospital design, like talking about HVAC systems, about where the air is being circulated, things like that. Do you think those things can be mandated for a hospital, or do you think, again, those will be troublesome?
Well, it could certainly be mandated in a new hospital design. It would be really problematic to make some of those changes to an existing hospital. That would be really tricky. I don't know how you would tell a clinic that's been open for 40 years that they have to redesign their whole HVAC system. That would be really tricky. I don't know how you would do that.
No, I was just noticing the music. Is this in the?
That must be coming from. I've got this one turned off.
Oh, it may be coming from
so it may be the babies. Occasionally we hear the babies.
Oh yeah, the Aquatots. Yeah, yeah. They're very successful. We were hoping they wouldn't be, so they would go out of business and we could use that pool. But because they got that pool rehab. You could do rehab in that pool. No, they're doing awesome though. It's just fine. They're nice people.
They're nice people. We really hope they're nice though.
Darn it.
Is that it?
That's it.
Cool.